Hi everyone, welcome to the next session of SAP HANA online training tutorials. So till now we have seen how we can do data provisioning in HANA using different data provisioning techniques we have, and then we have also seen how to write SQL statements in HANA. It can be your data definition statements, or it can be your data manipulation statements or transaction statements, or writing your procedural statements. So now we enter into one of our major topics, or not one of our major topics, the major topic in our course, which is modeling. So how to do modeling in SAP HANA with the help of Studio we have. So as I explained earlier, we have three different major roles in HANA platform. So one is administrator, who will takes care of all the database relevant operations, maintaining the database or taking backups or restoring your system, maintaining users and their roles, all those things. And the other role is modeler. So modeler is the one who is going to build a models. Models are nothing but information models in the system, in HANA system, which will be source for the reports we are going to build using front-end platforms like business objects or Tableau or SAP Lumira, whatever it is. And the next one is, the last one is a developer. So developer is the one who is going to build native applications in HANA. So when we say native applications, those are like our web-based applications using jQueries or JavaScripts. So using our programming languages, we can also build our own web applications in HANA. So that is possible with the help of Access Engine, inbuilt Access Engine we have in HANA. So these are the three different major roles we have in any HANA platform. And to perform these roles in HANA, and all these roles can be performed with the help of HANA Studio. So how these roles are differentiated, or how the functions those are performed by these roles are differentiated in HANA Studio. So for that purpose, we have a concept called perspective in HANA Studio. So we have perspective concept. So for each role, we have different perspectives available. Okay, so to perform administration relevant activities, we have administrator console. Okay, and then to perform modeler relevant activities, we have modeler console. And to perform developer activities, we have development console. So where I can see all these perspectives. So if we get into HANA Studio, okay, and on the right hand side top corner, we can see the different perspective names here. So whichever we have selected right now, that is already highlighted here, which is SAP HANA Modeler. So if you want to switch perspectives, you can just click on, let's say, SAP HANA Development. You can immediately see some changes in the front end you see here. Like, we have got two different additional tabs along with just systems when we were in modeler screen. So these changes are relevant to the specific perspective we select, and these are all called views. So a perspective is built based on combination of views. So this is one view, and this is another view, this is another view, this is another view. So it's a combination of different views, and these views are based on the perspective you select. So this will get changed based on the perspective you select. Now let's say if I select SAP HANA Modeler, I've got only one tab here, whereas when I select HANA development, I got 3 different tabs here. So that's where again those are relevant to that particular role you need to or the functions which are relevant to that role. So that's where you got those changes. And this one way of changing your perspectives. The other way is going to be go to Windows, open perspective, and then you can select a lot of different perspectives in the system. Once you select perspective, you can also change views, how you want your views to be displayed here. So to change those views, you can go to again Windows, show view, and select other. You can choose which view you want to show in this perspective. And then once you select the views you need to you want to have in this perspective, and if you want to save that perspective as your personalization, you can go to a Windows and then save perspective as. You can save it as your own customized perspective, so that whenever you select your perspective, you will get the views you have selected as a customization. Now, so this is how, I mean, these are the different roles we have and how those functions relevant to those roles can be performed in HANA Studio with the help of perspectives. Now let's get into a modeler, our area here. So what we can do with modeler, or what are the major activities of a modeler in HANA? So the major activities of a modeler in HANA is going to be building information models. So you have to build information models on the tables you have got in HANA based on the business requirements. So the major activity of a modeler is building information models on physical tables. It can be physical or it can be virtual. Okay, because we also have a remote access option to your different databases, so that without loading data into HANA, you can build information models on your source data. So that's why I mentioned building information models on either physical or virtual tables based on the business requirement. So this is the major activity of a HANA modeler. So now, I mean, during this course, like during HANA modeling sessions, we'll see what are the different models you can build and how to build those models, and what are all the different options you have in each model, and which model is good based on performance you get in HANA, and then what are the restrictions you have, or what are the limitations you have with each type of model we have in HANA. So along with this, building models and then applying data security, because data security is another important topic. Why? Because I cannot go and show my enterprise data to everyone in my company. So there has to be some restrictions, or there has to be some limitations. Let's say if I have my sales data for 3 different countries where I have my operations running. In such cases, I cannot show all 3 different countries sales data to every manager. I don't want to show sales data in country 2 when a manager from country 1 executes that report. So I need to apply certain restrictions. That is a data security. So you can also apply data security in HANA. So this is another important activity that a modeler has to perform. So the first one is building models and then applying data security on those models. Along with this, as an additional advantages. Modeler can also do data provisioning if he has idea, and then few people will also build reportings or reports using any of the reporting tools we have. So now, how different is HANA when compared to um, traditional databases while building HANA models or while building information models? So usually in traditional databases, when you execute any report from front end, the query at the back end, which is going to hit your database, will always pick data from your persistency objects. Persistence objects are physical objects. Let's say in traditional databases, you build, you know, 5 different tables, which are going to have your final uh, data, and then when you run any report on those tables, it's going to be like select column A, column B, column C from table A, table B, table C, and then you define your join conditions, and then you define your where conditions, all those things. So eventually you're picking data from your persistence objects or physical tables, which physically stores your final data. So when you are storing your final data, which means you are loading the data from your raw tables after applying a business logic, which means you are storing data multiple times in the same system. So it's like you have one schema for data coming from source as it is without any changes, and then you have another schema which stores final data or reporting data after applying all the business logic. Or in some cases you might have another schema in between your source schema and reporting schema, which we can call it as maybe staging schema, where you apply first stage of logic or first stage of transformations, and then you apply the next level of transformations before you load data to a reporting schema. So eventually you end up storing data in 3 different places, and it's the same kind of data. So this is one of the uh, disadvantage we have with traditional databases. Then how we are going to overcome that in HANA? So whatever the information models, whatever the reporting models we build in HANA, those are all on the fly objects, or we'll say, runtime objects. So the information models in HANA are runtime objects, which means these objects doesn't store data physically. So whatever the objects we are going to build, those will take data from our source tables. When you execute those objects, until you execute those objects, they will not touch your database tables. So when you execute those objects, it will pick the data from source tables, and on the fly it will apply all the logics you have created in those information models. Then it will display the data, which means you don't have these 2 layers here. So you don't have these 2 layers. So you have source schema, and then you have your information models, and these information models are runtime objects. So you are not storing data multiple times in your system. You are actually storing data here, and then you build the models which are runtime objects. So you execute these objects, it will pick the data from here, and it will show you on the fly after applying all your transformations, whatever you have created in these information models. So that is a difference, the major difference you have got between uh, the traditional way of building your information models and the HANA way of building information models. So this is what I have explained. So in the modeler, to perform any modeling activity, you have to switch to the modeler perspective, because that's what defined for SAP HANA modeler in HANA Studio. And then modeler is a graphical user interface tool, GUI. So it's like you select this. Like if we go ahead and see one of the existing models, let's say take this one. So it's like we are not writing any code here. So it's like you select your table, pick the columns you want, and then choose what are the calculations you want, all those things options. So you're not sitting and writing any code here manually. We are using the user interface we have in HANA Studio to build our models. So that's where it is a graphical data modeling tool used to design analytical models and then analytical privileges. So analytical models are nothing but our information models, and analytic privileges are used to apply data security. So I'll tell you what are the models we can create also. So this is same thing what I told you now. And a modeler is intended for users with extensive technical knowledge. So you need to have clear understanding about what are the options you have and how to apply those options. That's why it's a powerful modeling tool. So now, what are the models we can create? Okay. Or before we go ahead and see what are the models we can create, you see what are the major functions or major responsibilities of a modeler. Okay, so it's like one is creating information models and then processing your models. So processing your models in the sense, make sure your models are available for reports, and then administration tasks such as managing your modeling content. So managing your modeling content maybe like moving from one system to other system, or make sure those are active and working fine. All those managing activities of the on the models you have created. And then importing table definitions or schemas, because before you create your models you need to have physical underlying tables available in the system. It can be physical table or it can be virtual table. So how that can be done? With the help of importing objects from different systems, which is our data provisioning techniques. So you can use any of the data provisioning techniques to get data into HANA, which we have already seen in our earlier sessions. And then loading data. So once you import your metadata, the next step is going to be loading data into the tables you have imported. So now, what are the models we can create? So till now we talked about, okay, we have to, as a modeler, you have to build information models in HANA. Now let's see what are the models we can build in HANA. So in HANA you can build three major models. Those are attribute views, analytic views, and then calculation views. So these are the three major models you have in HANA. And then for data security, so to restrict data on your information models, we have an object called analytic privileges. So we can build analytic privileges to restrict data which will be coming out from any of these information models, any of these three information models. So along with these four, we can write procedures. So basically procedures are used, to move data from one place to other place. Basically, like